Hey, welcome everybody. This is your boy, Coach G, on a new edition or episode of Misfits Managed. But you know what? I can't do this by myself. I can't. I got to bring in my co host, my partner in crime, Lauren. Where are you, girl?
What up? What up? Hey, everybody.
What's up, girl? So glad to see your face.
Yeah, I feel for some reason I feel like it has been like so long over the past week because like we both been digging around in lots of things.
Lots of things. Been digging around in lots of things. A lot of bones in the ground that I've been digging up this last week. Yes, that's very accurate.
So before I forget, because at one point we were good about this and then we kind of got thrown off. If you all want to catch some of this crazy every week, like, subscribe, and share so that you always get some Lauren and Coach G on Tuesday or whenever it is available for you.
Share, like, and subscribe. Share, like, and subscribe. Subscribe, share, and like, please. We need to just create a theme song that says all that. But
We really do.
yeah, that's coming. That's coming.
I'll leave that to you. The vocals are not my friend.
Oh, okay. Well, I am trying to write now, so maybe I can get. That's actually a prophetic word that was spoken unto me because my family's very musical, and that was a word that was spoken over me last year. That was one of. Oh my God! That just hit me like a ton of bricks. Aha moment right here live on the show. That part of me that has been dormant because I was the athlete. I wasn't the musician. I love that. I love
Yeah.
music, all that. But that was my cousins. You know, my sister was a singer, all that. I wasn't the athlete, off in sports. But that's something that's been dormant in me. And as I've released and created space, what we've been talking about the past few weeks, that's one of those kisses from the Lord that's been dormant that it's about to be rebirthed in me. So yeah, I might have to dabble into that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had this garage band on my computer that I've been dying to jump into and use. So
I've had some fun with some garage band.
yeah. So I'm probably gonna have to take a Mac class to really learn the technology that's under my fingers right here. So
You can get a start on the University of YouTube or
oh,
Google.
I'll have to do that. Just block out an hour or two on a Saturday.
That honestly, that is how I learn most things. And when
Is
I say that, I mean how to create a podcast, how to build a website, all that. What is that with the wine and the pinky?
You know me, I gotta be silly.
Oh, jeez.
Hey, I'm a misfit.
You
I'm a
are
misfit.
indeed. Which is why I squirrel. Uh, yeah, that's how I have learned almost everything is a Google search and a YouTube video.
Well, lesson learned. I always come
Yeah.
on this show and learn something new. So it's funny you're laughing at me because that puts me right into our topic for today is misfits managed, new episode, a misfit, how to become comfortable with your true self. Because you're the one who stands out, you're the one who has dared to be different, you are the one who's declared to the world, to your loved ones, that you don't want to be average, that you are not average, and that you are the exception
Every week.
every week. Um, but to say that, you have to become comfortable with your true self. And as I'm reflecting on that, um, I'm evolving as we speak. Literally tonight, boom, a new thing popped out of me as we're having this discussion about music, and writing music, because that's what that prophetic word talked about, that it would be music and overflow, a new sound that I would hear.
Oh, yeah.
So
You know what I did today?
what?
I created a um what am I trying to say? Um, digital, digital, graphic, like artist portfolio.
Oh, so you got some skills?
Well, so funny story. Um, not really funny story, just random facts. Well, so
There's a difference.
yeah, sometimes. Um, well, so I kind of enjoyed the making of all the creative stuff with the thumbnails. And thumbnails, I mean all the social media and
Mhm.
pictures and whatnot. Well, then so my youngest son is getting to be quite the avid fisherman, and so last night we were sitting talking after all the things, and I was giving my husband a hard time because I'm like, "Are you over there looking at fishing boats for him?" And he's like, "No." And so like we've just been spitting around ideas on even future casting for Luke. And he was like, we should like record some of this for him. And I'm like, we should create a YouTube channel for him because both
Yes,
of the
yes.
boys love watching all the videos and everything on YouTube. And when I say videos, I mean like people driving monster trucks or just things like that, not a, any
Yeah,
sort of
it's a
like
cool way to
actually,
learn. Yeah.
yeah. And so I'm sitting there, we were like brainstorming ideas because I was like, ooh, what's this going to be named? And so today I needed a break. So I created a logo for him and whipped out a YouTube channel real quick. It's 100% generic, nothing's on it yet. But as I'm sitting there doing that, I'm like, I've done a lot of these. And what happens one day, Mark, is Pod TV getting a fishing show?
I'm
Maybe,
wondering if you're gonna
possibly.
see that.
Um, don't you tempt me, Mark. Um,
Hey, always
but
looking for new show ideas.
yeah, but I was like, why not just put these in a folder and say, if something ever happens, if somebody says, "Can I see your portfolio?" Sure, here you go. Here's all the things I've done because we start doing these things. Even, you're writing your vocal things of all sorts. We just start doing these and learning. And before we know it, we've got a portfolio and we don't even know it.
Right, that's beautiful. Exactly. I feel like to your point with that, for me, and you said this to me a few weeks ago about writing a book.
Ha!
So this week, I feel like the Lord, again, as I heal and as I release, I was talking to a good friend of mine, Evie,
Yeah,
and she was talking about, with Father's Day, she was telling me, just remind me, you're in a season of of healing, meaning there's going to be several segments of release that you're going to go through
yeah,
these next few months. And I've embraced that because I'm excited to become comfortable with my true self. And to
yeah.
be comfortable with my true self, wouldn't you think, first of all, I got to learn who my true self really is? And I think so many of us as misfits, we're, we're evolved or evolving, but we haven't gotten there yet. And that's maybe why we're so uncomfortable in our own skin because we are so different and we haven't gotten to the final stages of that so when I reflect on myself, I'm learning new things about myself almost daily. So like this week, I feel like, again, as I've released, new memories are coming. Now that's good and bad
Ooh,
because
yeah,
I had a night where I had a really bad night terror.
yeah.
So there's been some good and some bad, but you need them both. You
I was
don't
gonna
get to
say you got
pick
to
the good
release
or
the
the
bad
bad.
stuff too. Yeah,
Right, and some of the good you need to release so that more good can come, even
yeah,
better. Release the
yeah.
good for better, and the better for best, and so on. But I feel like the Lord is organizing my thoughts and compartmentalizing my thoughts into chapters.
Woo!
So I'm just like, wait a minute, what? But when I but when I take a step back from that, I'm like, that's chapter one. Oh man, that's chapter four. but that's chapter 8. It's just starting to come together in my head like that.
How cool.
So, I mean, that's not my space to put something like that together. I'm a visionary. I see things and have all these ideas now how to bring structure and all that to things. That's not my strong suit, but boy, I can cast some vision.
Well, not your strong suit now.
Good point. Good point.
Mhm.
Don't speak that into existence, Gary.
Yeah.
Watch what we say.
Watch what you say over there and everything. I had a question for both of you because I was listening to y'all's dialogue and all along those lines. Do you think that sometimes, and I know the subject matter and everything, that misfits are sometimes too afraid to acknowledge their true misfit nature? Because I know that sometimes misfits will want to try to fit in with the common good or the common folks and all along those
Right.
lines. Sometimes
Right.
they don't really acknowledge their misfit gifts because I think that a lot of times misfits have various gifts. Yours might be writing in some ways. Lauren might be those things that she's doing in marketing and branding and all along those lines. But there are a number of misfits that don't want to acknowledge their gifts and they're trying to get along. Trying to remember the old expression, but the expression I'm thinking about the coach and everything, but they're just trying to go along with the flow and not really acknowledging their misfit gifts.
You tackling that one first?
Oh, I'm trying to pop my neck. Um, so that goes on two different avenues for me, if you can imagine that. Um, One, I think for me, I find myself not necessarily trying to fit in with the crowd, but I am someone who always wants to relate.
Mhm.
It's just human nature, right? We want to relate to people. We want to feel that connection. And so even when I'm in a group of people that I'm like, you know, I don't feel like I just don't feel that flow with. Um I try not to count that out, or honestly, I have to kind of walk that fine line of, well, I'm here, where, like, what is this path for? Because just from old habits trying to die hard, I sit on that path and I'm like, I naturally try to fit in with those people. And I'm just not I'm not feeling it. I have to be okay with that. And I hate that feeling of I'm not meant to mesh 100% with this crowd. I hate that feeling. On the other hand,
Is what it is, though.
it is what it is. But on the other hand, maybe that's where you use your misfit, your inner misfit, to be the difference in that group and to be the person that's, I don't know, doing the weird thing. Maybe not weird thing, but going against the grain. So there's that fine line of I don't want to necessarily be an outcast and I can fit in here, but I'm going to choose to see that fitting in there may not necessarily be my place, but I'm there for something regardless of what that is, and I may not know that yet.
That makes
That's
sense.
good. I think
Coach?
yeah, I think so many people haven't given themselves permission to be themselves. That I mean, we did a whole show on this, but it just there's such a longing and desire to be different, but there's also such a power in familiarity, and
Mhm.
we're so accustomed and used to 'em. It's like an arm, and the arm is rotting and falling off, but it's still my arm. And we are so used to being parts of groups or being part of dysfunction that when something new and fresh comes that is really good for us, we feel out of place.
Mhm.
And I think that's just it's sad, but it's part of the process that you have to give yourself permission to be different, to think different. Um, to look different. We before the show we were talking a little bit about body shaming. You got to be comfortable in your own skin. If you're overweight, but you feel like you look good and you're healthy, you don't have to be some size 2 model,
Right.
which in my mind is not attractive anyway. So
Mm-mm.
um, teach his own, but
And no, Miss Twiggy was not my idea of
yeah.
attractiveness either, and everything. But one thing that I run across, and I don't know y'all's thoughts about this, is I have had a couple of friends, even a couple of friends that were in my dating lane and all along those lines. And some of them were misfits. And sometimes I felt that they were judging whether I was misfit enough, because sometimes I think that there can be some competition among misfits as well, particularly when they are in that dating lane. Because I do know that there was a young lady I dated and she was very artsy fartsy. That's even what she called her company. And sometimes she would tell me that I wasn't artsy or fartsy enough, and all along those lines. I'm going like, oh, wait a minute. I am acknowledging the fact that you're a misfit, but you don't need to judge my misfit nature and everything, because she would sometimes think that that wasn't
That is
true artism.
madness. That is madness that you're not misfit enough.
Right.
I mean, the fact that you've taken a stance to be separated from the crowd, just lost. There goes the light, but okay.
Gary's
Um,
losing it.
my foot hit it, but the fact that you're not that you've decided to go against the grain
Right.
and not be like everybody else in itself is powerful.
Right.
So the notion of you're not misfit enough.
Right.
I think that's just as isolating as the other extreme.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, if you're gonna find you and be you as a misfit, Gary and I have talked about this before. You gotta be able to meet everyone else where they are.
Right.
Because that's the definition. You're the different one. Y'all are meshing with each other.
Right.
And honestly, if you isolate yourself that much, you're going to stay in isolation. No
Well,
offense.
you're not a true misfit, because a misfit will accept a misfit has the understanding of being different, and
Right.
you're going to accept people where they're at.
Right.
Remember how we talked the scenario if we're doing a task and you delegating that task to someone else. And yes, I have a way I want to do the task, but really, as
Yep.
long as we get to the end game on time or on schedule, whatever we've
Yep.
agreed upon, how it's done, does that really at the end of the day matter?
Shouldn't.
So we've got to accept people to be different and do things different and think different. I mean, to me, that is the definition of evolved misfit.
Mm-hmm. That
Yeah.
makes sense and everything.
Well, and honestly, the one thing I've learned, and I think G over there has too, I can't take you seriously ever.
I'm being mean, baby. I'm
Yeah.
be mean.
When you're trying to fit in to that box,
Right.
whatever you think it needs to be, whatever somebody told you it needed to be,
Right.
you're like 100% conflicted. And half the time I'm talking about like physical health now, as well as mental. It makes you feel like crap.
Yeah.
And you don't know why, because you're trying to be this other thing. And once you take off all those labels, get out of the box, and let yourself flow freely, all of a sudden, as hard as that is, it's easier. Because you're not trying to pretend to be something, and who you are comes naturally.
Mm-hmm. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's exhausting to be something that you're not.
Yeah.
I mean, think about the energy that is being burned, putting on a mask every day, being something,
Yeah.
talking and thinking and acting like something that's not authentic to you.
Mentally exhausting and
Exactly.
physically. Yeah.
It's mentally, well, actually, not only that, but it's emotionally exhausting, because I think about
Yeah.
some people that I know that are so lost in themselves that they don't put on just one mask. But I know some people in my circles that probably put on 3 or 4 masks in a day, and that is very emotionally tiring, because you put
Yeah.
on a mask in the morning, maybe for your kids, if you've got kids, or your work job, but if you've got a work environment, then you put it on for your spouse or your other half in the evening time, or maybe your circle of friends. But yeah, I've seen some people that literally have 4 or 5 masks, whereas it seems to me this is what all is saying is that whether you're a misfit or not, the best thing is to be authentically you. And that's what I always talk about, is trying to be authentically you.
So, Mark, that actually is a perfect segue. I'm going to do a quick plug here because Coach G and I are starting some misfit coaching to help people with exactly that. Because what happens when you wear too many dang masks, you forget who the heck is behind them, right?
Mhm.
And if you do that for long enough and you try to fit yourself in those boxes for long enough, you don't know what the heck is going on.
Yeah.
So
You lose sight of self.
you lose sight of self. So Coach G and I are going to take on a new little venture of some misfit coaching, and we are going to together, because that's how we roll best with this, um, help some people work through that and what it looks like for them, because somehow we tend to, dig from both sides a little bit and pull that out of people. And honestly, we didn't even know we were doing it at first, and it just kind of keeps happening, which is pretty cool. But if anybody thinks that misfit coaching might be something that could help, please let us know. And you can do that without having to just broadcast it. But let us know if you would like some misfit coaching. And with that, I turn it back over to all of us.
No, along those same lines, I actually did a little bit of misfit coaching, unofficially myself this afternoon, because like I was telling both of you, I went and was a community rep. They call them community partners for this federal project, NIEHS. So they were having a Juneteenth celebration, and there was 5 or 6 organizations that were out there that were community partners. But after the event, because there was a whole speech that the keynote speaker gave and everything, I realized that those events, and I know that y'all have done those events and everything. The water and the juice and the little pastries are nice and good, but if it's lunchtime and they haven't filled you up, you got to go get some real lunch. So I went to
Right.
a local lunch establishment, and there was a young lady there, the waitress, and I had never been to this.
This brother is so
She's only been
proper.
around for 6 months and everything, or maybe even less than that. And she was saying, she was telling somebody younger, she was telling a younger waitress, and she was like, "Yeah, I'm 25 and I haven't figured it out and everything." So when she came and was giving me my bill, I pulled her off to the side and I said, "Guess what? You were 25 and you haven't figured it out? When you're 50, you won't have figured it out. When you're my age, you won't have figured it out. You really won't figure it out till the end." So I did a
Right.
little bit of misfit coaching at that time, because he was, I think, talking to her coworker, which was like 21, and saying, "I'm 25 and I haven't figured it out." So I just had to let her know, I hate to tell you this, but as you age, you're still not going to figure it out. It's going to be a work in progress throughout your life. So that was me doing a little bit of y'all's job of misfit coaching, just very quickly and everything. Like I said, it was a brief, probably
Nice.
our conversation now is probably taking longer than it took for me to tell her that and everything, but it still was that notion and all along those lines.
Well, I don't think we give ourselves grace.
No.
The grace that we would extend to a stranger, we don't extend to ourselves. And we expect to have arrived at a certain place at a certain time. And if we didn't reach that, we have failed. And everything happens in its own time and its own hour.
Exactly.
Um, so I just feel we've got to give each other more grace um, moving forward.
Yeah. Yep, you slightly freezing and everything, but along that same grace line and everything. I think the first time, Lauren, that I realized that I was somewhat of a misfit, and like I said, not this Monday, but the following Monday, I would hit that big 6'2" birthday and all along those lines. But when I was in college, there is a certain thing, and you have a little bit of that Southern twang to you as well, but there's a certain Southern expression that we all use and everything. It's called y'all. So I remember going to school and I was always saying y'all. And I think one of my schoolmates was like, Mark, we're going to make a bet with you that if you stop saying, every time that you stop saying y'all, we will give you a quarter, and all along those lines. Or no, you have to pay us a quarter every time that you say y'all. I think that I kept saying y'all, even though they told me to stop saying y'all, that it got up to like $500, $600. So I think that they just basically called the bet off. They were like, we give up. You're not going to give up this expression. This expression is you. So we're not gonna make you stop saying y'all. You were born in the South. You also love sweet tea. So these are things that you're not gonna give up, despite the fact that they tried to bet me to end this habit, but it did not work.
Well, you know what's funny is, well, I am a complete Kansas girl.
Okay.
Matter of fact, I cannot stand sweet tea.
Okay.
Um, but I don't know. I've always said y'all as long as I can think of. I got a lot of different little things, and I tell you what, I don't know why it was a surprise to me. Um, we we were on our way to our honeymoon, and our flights got all messed up and everything. We ended up, I don't remember where we were. I think it might have been Charlotte,
Mm-hmm.
and we were sitting there having a drink, and I don't know how it came up, but all of a sudden I was like, wait a second, do I have a Midwest accent? And the guy looks at me, he goes, yeah. And I was just like, ooh, I never thought about myself and the fact that I'd have a Midwest accent, because we always think about, everywhere else, north, far south, everything else. And I'm like, that's kind of fun. I never
Yeah.
thought about myself as having an accent.
Yeah, and I never think about it, but partially of my radio background, and people will say that I don't have the typical Southern accent, but then every once in a while the twang or one of the other Southern things will come out. So because of the radio and media background, it does sometimes feel suppressed, but then sometimes it will slide into conversation. So I've had friends say, "Yeah, we can hear it," and they also say, and my mom gets on me sometimes, and this is a misfit habit as well, because sometimes I'm thinking I am speaking as clear as day, and both my mom and my younger brother will be like, "You are mumbling. Why are you mumbling?" And I'm going like, "I heard myself clearly. I was not mumbling. I don't know what y'all are talking about. I was not mumbling. I could hear myself clearly, but sometimes I guess." Because we're projecting our voice and we can hear what we're saying, it doesn't always register, because sometimes it's the fast talking or it's other things that are going on. But yeah, they've called me a couple times. They're like, "You're mumbling," and I'm going like, "I'm not mumbling. I know that I said what I said, and I know what I was trying to say." But they will sometimes get on me for mumbling, and I'm going like, "I don't think I was mumbling, but okay." But I'm not the one listening to me, so I have to judge by what they're telling me.
When does your twang come out? Any specific times?
That's a good question, because it comes out at various times. I think sometimes in moments of excitement, it might come out. At times when
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying myself, it might come out. But yeah, it comes out at unusual times. It comes out the little bit of the Southern phrase.
Yeah. I was gonna say all of my little Midwest quirks tend to come out when I get really excited and I start talking even faster than I normally do,
Yeah.
which is shocking.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get very excited. I start talking a million miles an hour. Hey, Coach G's back.
Coach Shea is back
Wow.
and everything. I do. Oh, well, since we've been having this conversation, I'm gonna turn it back over to the two of you. Well, since we're talking about Misfits, and she was talking about being from Kansas, I know you're a Kansas City Chiefs fan and everything, but isn't the ultimate Misfit actually based in Kansas? Because I am a big fan of culture, and it is a movie that was made both in the African American community as well as the more traditional Hollywood community and everything. But when I think of the Wizard of Oz, wasn't Dorothy the ultimate misfit? And
Marcus.
all her minions, like the Scarecrow and the Lion and all those, they seem like that would be the ultimate misfits.
Dude, you are so funny. You crack me up in the depths of where you get stuff from. I think it's amazing. Like before I fell out, he was talking about a lunch establishment. I was like, what?
Well, so first of all, Mark, I will say I saw I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was a museum or not. It was a complete Wizard of Oz establishment in Florida.
Wow.
So I will say that. But
We're spreading.
yeah. We will find you. Okay, so we were just talking about the fact that apparently I have my little southern quirks, even though I'm tried and true Kansas with my y'all. And
Oh yeah, you got that y'all going all the time.
I always say y'all, but I was like, I've always said this. So we were talking about when our quirks come out the most. And Mark and I both said when we get excited or, well, really excited mostly. So when do yours come out, Coach?
Probably when I'm nervous.
Yeah,
Ooh.
they do come out sometimes. There.
Yeah, remember when I'm nervous or in a situation where I feel inadequate.
Okay, so what are your little
I'm trying to.
quirky things?
I knew you were gonna ask me that.
Of course you did.
Um,
Well, you just got a new one because what's with this pinky? And I was going to ask you whether the pinkies alternate because that is a new quirky thing that's going on. You've been doing it in a couple of shows, not just one. But I'm going like it looks like it's always the I think it's the left hand. But I'm wondering, will he ever do it with the right hand? Will he ever do it with the opposite?
Well, don't forget you got to raise the eyebrows really tall too when you do it.
You got to do both.
no, that's just the misfit in me being silly. So just being free. But like I don't stutter, but I think when
Oh,
I'm comfortable, I just don't traditionally. I've never been a
yeah,
stutterer, but
yeah.
when I'm in an uncomfortable space, I kind of do that and can't enunciate my words, you
I
know.
do that too.
I'll flow through a word and not fully enunciate the word.
You got the mumble of Mark that he was talking about.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was telling him I tend to talk faster than I normally do, which is get on board if we're going to do that because I talk fast.
Well, I just probably would just when I'm uncomfortable, I just talk.
There's that too.
Yeah, just don't pause. Just and for a man, that's not normal because you know we're normally quiet. So,
Oh,
but
there
hey,
you
that
go.
there I am putting people in a box
Yeah,
again.
you put
Look at
people in
me.
a box because ironically that, and I would say even to this day, it can sometimes come in if you want to talk about being a misfit because even though I've been in the work of entertainment and the work of media for decades and all along those lines, I am also the one that is I think the expression that people use is wallflower. So I will seriously sit off in the corner and be an observer and not necessarily get engaged even at dances. And sometimes it's because of fear of embarrassing myself and all along those lines of feeling that I'm going to embarrass myself. I think I told y'all before that as far as I'm concerned, one of the greatest inventions on the dance floor was the strobe light. Because the strobe light makes anybody look like they're a good dancer because it kind of like makes you look like you are moving in motion, even if you're not. So as far as I'm concerned, whoever invented the strobe light, thank you.
I think it's actually a distraction, Mark. I think people are so focused on the strobe light that they stop paying attention to themselves
Right.
and what people are thinking of them. It's like me when I wouldn't say I'm a good dancer,
Mm-hmm.
but you get, you know, a couple glasses of wine in me or, you know, 3 or 4 shots of tequila, I'm a pretty good dancer then. Because our inhibitions, we just become ourselves.
Right.
Wait,
So
you're a pretty
what?
good dancer, or you think you're a pretty good dancer?
Well, I would think I'd say I am at that point
Okay,
because then I'm not afraid anymore,
well
and
that's
I
fair
just flow.
because you get that much in me, and I can think I'm a good dancer, but no.
You know you got some moves on that dance floor, Lord. Don't even try to
I
fool.
do not.
What?
I do not. I actually there's like a couple of dances that I know like a couple moves to, but other than that, I'm like the Cupid shuffle and stuff like that. And honestly, I do not like to dance. I will, yeah, I don't. My dad and I laugh about this all the time because I will, I will go to weddings and I'll go out there. You will have to drag me to the dance floor. I will be there for maybe a couple songs just to entertain it, and I'm out.
Oh man,
I do not like to dance.
it's been so therapeutic for me because I remember here in Kansas City, it's called Mark for You, the KC two step. You know, in
Ooh.
Chicago, they have the Chicago A step, so they're similar, but by city. And when I first went through my trauma, the journey of a warrior, um, one of the things I learned really quickly how therapeutic dancing was for me. So when I took my class, I would literally, and I was became close friends with the instructor, and ended up dating her. But she would be like, "Just leave him alone." The women would come over and try to, "Hey, let me," and she'd be like, "Leave him alone. He's healing." Because I would go into the corner and close my eyes and do my steps. And the two step, it's two steps at a time, but it's six total steps in the whole dance.
Yeah.
So I would just be doing the fundamentals of the dance by myself in the corner, bawling, healing, just
Wow.
all of that pain pouring out because it was a safe place. I was in motion and moving. And after a couple of months, I was ready to join the class and dance and became a pretty good two stepper.
That sounds good. But Coach G, I am literally, this is probably one of the misfit things as well, because I am actually the opposite of what you're saying, because I have a number of friends that are very involved in the African dance community and everything. And they even do what they call the, I'm trying to think of the title. It's the bump. It's a, basically means that you're doing the communal dance and they draw the community into it. It's got a nickname, but it's not coming to me right now and everything. But they will call people out to dance, and they know pretty much that at that time I'm probably going to be making a beeline toward the balcony or some other place that I cannot be found in order to get pulled into that. Because even when Baba Chuck Davis, who was a dance pioneer, was around, I'm pretty sure, because he passed some 6 years ago, but I'm pretty sure that he knew not to call on me because I was probably not going to be anywhere nearby at that particular time and everything. So yeah, I have friends that to this day they'll be like, "Yep, Mark's probably going to disappear right about now." So
You headed to the bathroom.
That's me too.
yeah, not getting pulled into those
That's
community
good
dance.
to know, Lauren, because if we're out somewhere, some kind of thing, I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna get you, girl.
Yeah. You usually find me in a different room because I don't want to do that.
That's funny.
And here's the fun part about me. I do not like to. I am not good, but I will automatically start leading.
Oh, okay.
The dance.
So even though you're not a dancer, you'll take the lead, even though you don't think you're a good dancer.
Well, see
We,
that.
a group of friends and I used to go to the little country bar in college. And again, didn't know the steps. I know how to do like the basic two step, but I will lead. And everybody used to be like, "Stop leading." I'm like, "I don't know how."
Yeah.
Like yeah.
I know we've got a country bar here as well, and I keep saying that I'm going to attempt one of their things because it's not just dancing; there's other things that can be risky. Because we've got one of those. I think they've still got it at Shooters, but it's one of those bouncing bull kind of things that you're still supposed to get on and try
Yeah.
to ride them. And I'm going like, no, that thing looks like it might want to buck me. I'm not trying to get on that thing, but I'm thinking I've only been to Shooters once, but I have seen the bull. I'm going like, nope, that's all right. It's mechanical and it might malfunction. I'm not doing that.
Well, see what I love about the KC two step, especially as a man, is it's man led. The woman has to. There's an intimacy to it, so the woman has to trust the man to lead her and lead her well. I mean, they look ridiculous if he doesn't lead well, but they look absolutely beautiful if he's a good leader and she's submissive and follows. She can't guess what he's about to do, what the next move he's going to put her into, because he's just creative. You come up with your own, it's just a creative dance, and it's just beautiful when you got a couple who's in tune. The woman just releases herself to follow the flow and direction of the man. And the man, his job is to make his woman look good. The better he makes the woman look, the better the dance looks. So it's just powerful.
Yeah, it sounds like
Powerful.
it sounds like a
Yeah.
very powerful dance move, and that definitely is one of
So
those.
I got to get Lauren out two stepping.
Boys look at you like that's not happening.
That thinking about that makes me cringe.
6 steps. 6 simple steps is the fundamentals of the dance. We just
There you
talked
go.
about being comfortable in your own skin.
Right.
So I want to get to the point where I do that two-step without drinking,
There you go.
without
Mhm.
having to have something to give liquid courage.
Jalous.
Yeah. just to jump just to
What?
jump out there. I'm just laughing at you. Just to
Yeah.
jump out there because I love doing it. And that should be enough juice for me.
Yeah.
But isn't that part of the problem just in general? And to bring it back full circle to the original points of which I was talking about being comfortable in your skin and everything. Because I think that Lauren, you just mentioned him earlier. I still don't know the man's name, but you are married and you have this loving husband and your kids and everything. I know that Coach G has been married before, but now he's in that single and dating space, and I've been in that dating single space forever. It seems like, even though I've had some significant relationships and everything, but it seems that in order for relationships to work of any sort, you have to be comfortable in your skin and also be comfortable with them as well. And I think that that's where the problem happens with a lot of relationships is that the people are putting up some of those walls that we are talking about and putting up some of them masks and aren't really being comfortable with themselves, and that's where some of these things wind up not going to the dream ending that you have in your mind is because you're not being fully comfortable. I know that I'll be very candid. I know that I have definitely sabotaged some relationships because of not being comfortable in the nature of the relationship or uncomfortable with myself and everything. So I think that in relationships, as in with work, you've got to have that comfortability with yourself in order to be true to the relationship. But Coach, what are your thoughts around that?
Lauren's about to chew on that. I see her marrying.
He
She's
knows my
ready.
face.
She's ready to chomp on that one. I'll go next.
So I would say, honestly, that I've seen so many people as a couple
Mhm.
try to make the other be them,
Yes, that
Or their version of them.
their
right.
version of them. And we all know it's a, tried and true story. Opposites attract.
Right.
So the opposite pieces are meant to fill the gaps. But the
Mhm.
problem is, we want to make everybody like us so that they have the same habits, the same talents, the same everything else. And I don't know about y'all, but what happens when we find somebody that is too much like us?
Mhm.
We can't flip and stand them.
Yeah.
Right. Because it's a
We don't want
mirror
to be
image of
around
ourselves.
them.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I honestly, I used to be that person of like, I'm going to fix them to be exactly
Mhm.
like me. And that put me in a bad space because I was also trying to be somebody else, right?
Right.
When I finally released all that and said, no, here's me, and then in turn met him where he was, and said, how do we mesh that? The amount of comfort, the amount of ease we started having was unreal. And I was terrified because I'm like, oh God, I'm like a completely different person. What happens if they don't like me? What happens if, I'm not the person that they want anymore? And then I had to be real with myself. And I was like, you know what? I've been essentially being this person. And here we are. So why would I think that that would actually change? And the more I was just like, okay, I had to ease myself into it
Mhm.
because it was just all in my head. But the more I started being comfortable in my own skin and embracing my own skin and letting him embrace who he was, as well as me embracing that for him and with him, like night and day, different ball game.
Yeah.
Hmm.
All right, G, your turn.
Well, I'm just chewing. I think one of the things I've learned in this dating is people just are not authentic. Um, you end up dating a person, and then over time, you realize the person that you are attracted to is not that person, and that they're a totally different version of themselves. This is a new spin I'm learning. especially if you date a person who is not fully healed, that the person you date day one, day 365, a year later, if they're working on themselves, is a completely different person.
Mhm.
And the tolerances, things that you liked about them that you thought was attractive or drew you to them may now be gone. And this is now a person that you can't see yourself with romantically because their true self is starting to come out. Trauma bonding. How many times do we do that?
Yeah.
Two broken people come together because they have some similar interest within trauma. And then as soon as the trauma is removed and there's healing on either part, doesn't have to just be both parties. If one heals and the other doesn't, it messes up the whole equation.
Yep.
So that's probably more of what I've run into in my dating experience.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And sometimes the trauma bonding can even be interesting because I was talking about that restaurant I went to, and ironically, as I went to the restaurant, then I had to, do what you had to do when you come to a restaurant. I had to run to the restaurant. And as soon as I came back out, I literally ran into, because she waved at me as she recognized me, but I ran into the mother of my nephews and everything. So my brother's ex-wife and everything. And I'm sitting there going like, and I remember some of the trauma bonding that they were having even when they broke up and everything. He's with a new lady. He's been with his new lady for several years now. But I remember that when they had my nephews together, because they were together at that time, he has literally a twin sister, and that twin sister was going through some divorce, and the family's convinced that that's part of what broke her and Malik up, was that she kind of like did that trauma bonding and kind of like forced them to uh, find reasons to break up and all along those lines. But I'm sitting there going like, that's some of that trauma bonding you talk about, and they are, I want to say, the twins that are like identical and everything. So
Mm.
they are very much that common personality and all along those lines. So that probably played some into it as well. But just running into her and knowing that sometimes um, they still have to maintain that relationship, because my nephews are about to be 15 and 16. So they've had to go at least another few years in order to bond. Because matter of fact, that's the first thing she told me. She's like, I'm going to tell Malik I just saw you. I just talked to him yesterday. And I'm like, yeah, I'm sure you did. Because y'all had to do that parenting bonding. So there's some of that parenting bonding that goes on as well. And I think the Misfits have to recognize some of the dynamics, is the long and short of what I'm trying to say in the story, that they have to recognize the dynamics that will take place no matter what the trauma may have been created, whether it was divorce or in some cases health and other things. But you have to deal with those and put those in some kind of I won't say a box, but you have to figure out a way to deal with them on a regular basis, particularly as long as there are kids involved.
Right.
Yeah. All
Right.
right, Coach, I got a question for you.
Okay. I was about to throw some stuff at you, but go ahead.
You have been going through, as you've said, a season of release. With that release, how has it been for you trying to be comfortable in your own skin with that? Because that's a lot of times the pain that nobody wants to feel.
Right. I would say this time releasing has been painful and maybe even at a higher level than the past, but because it's richer, this is like a second, third, maybe even fourth level or layer of pain that the Lord is peeling off, layer at a time. But the difference, I think, this time is I'm comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I've learned to grow to be comfortable being uncomfortable, knowing that it is for my good. And I just have to hold on and pass through this. Um, and better things, better thoughts, better feelings, better whatever is coming.
There you go.
So, kind of the prophetic word that I had talked about last week,
Yep.
that it's always darkest before the dawn. And from a biblical or spiritual standpoint, just before you reach that great blessing, that is going to be your greatest attack from the enemy, because he does not want you to receive it. And that is the space that I feel like I'm in. That at work, a couple of my friends are like, dude, what is up with you? And I'm like, what? And they're like, you're glowing.
Mhm.
They're like, you just have this radiance to you now, and you walk, the way you walk is like you're walking on air and stuff. You just have this confidence about yourself and stuff like now that's just been magical to watch. And I just feel like because I've embraced being comfortable, being uncomfortable, I know I'm in a season of release and there's a better version of me evolving coming out. And I'm like, come on, come on, come on, come on. The coach in me rises up, and if you ever
Yeah.
see me, you've never seen me coach, Lauren, but I'm very active and animated. I'm in a stance, like a defensive stance, clapping my hands. Come on, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. Come on, move your feet, rebound, 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 rebound. I'm just doing all this stuff. I'm so active as a coach. But this is going to make me emotional because that is a part of me through this trauma that died,
Mm.
Wow.
and got buried. And as we were just talking about earlier, and I tried so hard to go back to fitting in to what everybody else was doing, where I had this richness. My girls, spiritual daughters that are around me, they're always constantly telling me, Pops, when are you going to go back to coaching? When are you going to go back to coaching? Because they got to experience Gary Newsom that way, Coach G that way. And they're like, you were alive during that time. I mean, that was ministry happening
Yeah.
when I was coaching. And I
Yeah.
feel like that part of me is being reawakened,
Ooh.
that it has been dormant for this 3 years and it's been silenced. And the Lord is just peeling the veil off and I find myself coaching,
Let's
you know,
go.
now. So in life, except now I'm not coaching a game of basketball, I'm coaching life. So, okay, here's my little plug for Misfits Managed Coaching. Um, we are so excited to embark on this journey with you, and we're going to do it together. And that's the value of doing coaching with us is you get two for the price of one. That you get two versions, you get two perspectives, not just male, female, but our age difference, our life difference. You get all the differences that make Lauren and I great together, all poured into you. And it's not about making a bunch of money or anything like that. Obviously, we got to do that, but it's about helping people figure out who they are, their purpose and destiny. I think the way I see it is God created purpose and destiny. It's out here in space. And then he took Lauren and wrapped her all around that purpose and destiny and then shoved her into her mother. And she came out into this earth. And because of life, because of trauma, because of experience, different parts of that is clouded and numbed Lauren's true identity and purpose and destiny. But man, I feel this so strong in my spirit right now, Lauren. But I'm decreeing and declaring to you right now, new birth. There's a new birth. There's a breaking out. And as I say that, I'm going to cry because one of my names, meanings of my name, Gary, is barrier breaker.
Mhm.
That he is one who goes to places or goes to people and breaks the barrier. So I'm thinking about all the people that we're going to be able to help that
Ooh.
are stuck.
Break
And
that barrier.
we're going to break that barrier, and it's going to be like a gush of wind or water or whatever it is that they need. Just this great refreshing will overflow from that. See, there's the coaching. Here's the excitement.
And the water.
Remember, you were just talking about water the other day.
I love it.
You got water and barriers breaking and everything. That just sounds amazing. And all along those lines, that's just going to be amazing. This opportunities that are come y'all's way, and just going to be truly amazing.
I feel it coming, girl.
I'm excited.
We've climbed this mountain, and we're just like, oh, there it is, there it is. Oh, we slipped down a little bit, but it's right over there, right over there.
See, I got my chisel in the rock here, and was like,
on.
no.
Chisel.
Come on.
Chisel.
So I think too,
a whole other topic and a whole other show. I said I know it's a whole other show and a whole other topic, but as you were talking, I was thinking to myself about how even what y'all were talking about earlier about the barriers and being comfortable in your skin. Sometimes people are and this could be a whole nother topic and a whole nother show. But sometimes I think people are too comfortable in their skins because their skin is a skin of misery. Because I have seen some couples and everybody where they will try to bring their misery to you. How many of us have known
Misery loves company.
people that have been in bad relationships, and then after the relationship, they got into a new relationship, but they tried to bring that coat of terror that came to them into the new relationship? Because I know that I have been the victim of that a couple of times in my life. So that could be a whole nother show on misfits. But there are some misfits that get too comfortable in their negative skin. We all have both a positive and a negative skin.
Right.
So get too comfortable in their negativity.
Man, I'm really wanting to do next week continuation of this with that video that gives us a week to really dive into You're Not is the name of the video. You're Not. And misfits have to understand that you're not. You may have been in the past, you may have been before, but you're not anymore.
Well, if you like and as producer of this show, that's what I meant to tell you earlier, but I got the video late. But if you like, it can actually go into the brand category, and y'all can actually start off with that video after you make the introduction to Lauren. In other words, I can put it so we can actually play the video and people can see the video that you're talking about and everything, because there are a couple of mechanisms that are able to be done so the video can be played after you introduce Lauren, if you want to do that next week.
No, see, that is a producer. Pod TV, that is Mark right here. That's what's up right there.
I got this.
I got this.
I'm sitting here like, wait a minute, what?
Yeah, we can play the whole video.
Yeah, we can just spend the hour breaking that down and just diving into that, because I believe that affects so many people. I know when I watched it, I had to watch it 5 or 6 times because I'm like, well, I'm not that one. I'm not that one. But it was good. It was good. I think Mark was talking about that, about the painful side. It brought up some painful moments, but I'm not anymore.
Yeah.
So
I do have to teach you as you're getting ready to walk out the door, you and Lauren and everything, but you have got the coaching style from what I was hearing, because you're talking about how you coach on the floor and how you get all animated. And as you know, because I do not hide it, I'm a proud Marquette graduate, and it sounds like you coach almost like Shaka Smart and everything. Shaka Smart is that kind of coach.
Yes. I love Shaka.
Yeah.
Love Shaka. Yeah,
I have no idea what you're all talking about.
Oh, okay.
He's a very animated coach. He's a coach of my alma mater, but he's very animated. He gets in the face of the athletes. He gets into the whole floor, but he's not the kind of X's and O's kind of coach that some people are. He is very much an engaging coach, both with his players, his fans, and everything else. So that's the kind of coach that both Coach G is and this coach of my alma mater is as well. So they are very much that kind of active coach.
Motivated coaches.
Motivated coach, right.
Well, Coach, I think that needs to go to the stage.
Let's go.
Bring that energy to the stage.
Are you saying Misfits managed on stage?
Sure.
Is that what you just said?
Misfits managed live.
I can see a Misfits manage an entire play, an entire production. Who knows? Y'all might be Misfits managed. What did we just had? Just I think it was a couple of days ago. The Tonys, Misfits managed, maybe getting the Tony Award.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm loving that.
There you go.
The sky's the limit, but not just for us, not just for Mark, but for you guys too. Everybody out there listening to us. I mean, don't settle. Misfits don't settle. We've worked so hard to come out of that box that now is not the time to settle. You worked hard to come out of that. So now is the time to reach for everything that your heart desires. As I tell my students, as I'm recruiting students in college, what is it that feeds your soul?
Yep.
So Lauren, give me something. Mark, give me something that feeds your soul. You're a misfit, so you came out for a reason. Something feeds your soul.
Honestly, being a misfit and being able to breathe life into other misfits 100% feeds my soul.
And I would say it's something very similar. I love when whether it's the event I was at earlier today, whether it's in the work I do in the cultural center and everything, I feel my soul at a great peace when I'm able to work with people, share that common goal, share that common joy. Because one of the things that I was reminded of today and everything, and you've said it a couple of times yourself, Coach G, and everything, we are we only have this life for as long as God graces us with this life and everything. So we have to make good with the time that we've got. Because
Maximize the moments.
Yeah, on a sadder note, I was talking to a friend of mine who's very much into the science space, and we were talking about a very popular gospel group here. And the gentleman literally, I think he said it was last year, like maybe June of last year, he got married in June, and he has already passed away. I think he passed away like 5 or 6 months after he had gotten married and everything.
Wow.
So you never know what God will actually, when he'll call you home and all along those lines. So you have to live life with the joy that you have while you have it. Because like I said,
right.
And the group is still going on, because it's a well-known group and they're very popular. So even though he's gone, the group is choosing to carry on his legacy and also the message of the gospel by keeping the group going. As a matter of fact, they'll be playing next month at one of our local festivals and everything. But it's that notion of live life to the fullest while you have the life.
Yeah, it reminds me, I think it's Commission that did the song back in the day called Tomorrow. I used to sing it in church. Basically, the gist is, why put off for tomorrow what you can do today? Because at the end of the day, tomorrow's not promised.
Exactly.
So,
Yep.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was going with that. Tomorrow is not promised. So you have to do what you can while you have the time here on this earth and all along this line. But also, what I think both of you do, and I try to do it in my life as well, bring joy to those that you are surrounding. Because I think that both of you do that. What I've heard, if you, Coach G, you do that with your athletes, you've done that with some of your friends and your church members. And I get the impression, even though we're newer friends, that you have that same kind of energy with your not just your husband, but your children, Lauren, and the people that are in your circle as well. So I get the feeling that y'all are trying to pour into others. And I think that that's the best thing that we can do. A friend of mine calls me, and he's actually in the funk music scene. And I know some people that are in that mindfulness space, they will use this term of light warrior. And I see both of you as being light warriors.
Well, I speak into that too. I absolutely love my co-host. I couldn't have picked a better person or partner. We've laughed about this because there's some other people that wanted me to partner with them in this venture. I was just like, oh, yeah, sure. I just said that live, but I did because I'm a misfit and I ain't scared. I ain't scared. But no, real talk. I mean, just our vibe, our energy, the way we bounce off each other. Again, we're just showing you guys live being different, what that can look like.
Yeah.
So the value now that we are live, not just on audio, that you actually get to see us interact. You get to see our personalities. You get to see our physical differences, all these different things. Man, come on.
But Coach, it's not just that, but too often, and this even goes back to the misfit part of the conversation. I know we're winding, we actually a few minutes over, but I don't mind going a few minutes over. Is this notion of there are people that see the energy of misfits, and I can tell you, and I'm sure both of you have been victims of this as well. There are those that feel your energy, know your energy, and want to latch onto that energy. And sometimes you can tell those that are, and I'm just going to use this phrase, you can tell those that are energy vampires, and you know to stay away from those and everything, because you can tell that their energy isn't right for you and everything. Yep. I know that I've been in those situations where, like, kind of what you were just talking about, Coach D. They've been like, why don't you team up with me? And why don't you be under my wings and under my partnership? And I'm going like, I'm not feeling your energy.
Nope. I've learned the ministry of nope.
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 Bishop Jake spoke a message a few years back, stay with the asses. And he was talking about there's levels that we go to that we can't take anybody. There's certain people can't go there with us.
Right.
Yep.
And I've just really revisited that in reflection. And, you know, I wouldn't have gotten this joy, this happiness. I love doing this show because I'm doing it with Lauren. And I mean, even on the bad days, hard days, I still love doing this show with Lauren. So that's my sis. So
you and Lauren do a great job at everything, but last thing I'll say is that you know that it is and then I will close out with the mental health video and everything, but you know it is a person that is one of those more energy vampires when they start claiming things that don't make any sense. Because I've had a couple people that have been like, yeah, your mom just loves me. And I'm sitting there when I go back to mom, but mom is sitting there going like, I don't even know this man. So who in the heck is he? Who in the heck are you talking about? So I've even come to her with been like, so and so said that they wanted to say hello, and then mom's looking at me like, and they are who?
Well, Lauren, you got the final thought, girl.
Yes.
You know, I think I would just leave with you'll never find an easier time being you if you let go all the baggage and be you.
Mm-hmm.
Easier said than done. Simple, but not easy. But one more plug with Gary and I will make it easier. On that note, in all seriousness, embrace your quirks. Embrace the inner and the outer misfit of crazy up there. And the people who need to be in your life will come to you,
Yes.
and you will be magnetic.
Yes. Yes. Man, that's good.
Yeah, that was real good. So on that note, we're gonna go out with this mental health video and everything, but that was very magnetic.
If you're watching this with your friends, you'll probably make a joke.
Because you know what you feel on the inside
isn't what you want people to know.
If you have to pretend to be happy,
find someone you trust and tell them.
If you get mad at things and you don't know why, or have thoughts about hurting yourself,
find someone you trust and tell them.
You are never alone when you share.
Seriously, people care about you.
It's okay to not understand what you're feeling.
And it's easy to think that you're all alone.
But you don't have to be.
You're never alone when you share.
Don't be ashamed to tell someone you trust what you're feeling.
You're not alone.
You are not alone.
Find someone you trust and tell them.
Tell a parent.
Tell a teacher. Tell a brother or sister.
Or just tell a friend.
You haven't done anything wrong.
Talk to someone.
Talk to someone.
It's how things get better.